Hello! In this video we're going to have a look at a very small feature addition to Xdebug 3.1 to help mostly other tools to figure out which mode Xdebug is in. In a previous video I showed you how to set Xdebug's modes and also how you can see which modes are available and enabled. You can do that by running xdebug_info. I have assembled a small command line to show you just the important section. Let me just run this. And it says here that the enabled features set through the xdebug.mode setting are pretty much that the only one is enabled is the development helpers, which is the default. And you can set these things in two different ways. You can set it by setting the xdebug_mode setting. And then it says that the enabled features are through the xdebug_mode environment variable, and indeed that we have just enabled the step debugger. Alternatively, you can set it with the xdebug.mode setting. And you can now see that in the xdebug_info output that it has used the xdebug.mode setting, and indeed that the profiler is enabled. The tricky bit is when you use both xdebug.mode as a setting as well as the xdebug_mode environment variable. Let me show you that too. When I now run this again, you see that Xdebug has used the xdebug_mode environment variable. If this is present, it overrides the xdebug.mode setting. The trick now is how to find programmatically in your own tool which modes are actually enabled. To find out, you need to read both the xdebug.mode environment variable yourself as well as the xdebug.mode setting, which is exactly what PHP-unit PHP code coverage is actually doing. Let's have a look. First it checks that we're actually using Xdebug 3, and it tries to read the environment variable. If it's not available, it uses iniget to read xdebug.mode setting. And then it needs to check against both of them whether it actually works. Xdebug 3.1 solves this by actually adding an API function for this. Instead of calling xdebug_info without any arguments, you can specify the mode argument instead. Let me show you that. The return value of this function is now an array, where each element is a mode that has been enabled. In this case, profile and trace. This works regardless of whether the mode has been set with the xdebug.mode setting or with the xdebug_environment variable. In this case, the modes are picked up from the xdebug_mode environment variable because that overrides the setting. And indeed, the return is now debug and develop as the modes that are available. This does mean that PHP-unit's PHP code coverage can now xdebug_info with the mode flag to get a list of all the modes that are enabled and then check to make sure that coverage is part of that. In another previous video, I showed you that Xdebug 3.1 now has compression support for profile files and trace files. It is possible that this support has not been compiled in, which can be the case for Windows or when you compile Xdebug yourself. In order to find out which specific compile flags have been enabled, the xdebug_info function has another argument. Let me show you that too. At the moment there's only one flag available called compression. The extension flag named corresponds to the configure flags that you can pass while compiling Xdebug. By default, the configure script will detect whether zlib is available and enable compression automatically. However, you can turn it off without xdebug-compression. The name of this flag, compression, is what is going to be returned by xdebug_info with the extension flags option. In the future, there could be multiple flags, but for now we'll have to do with just compression. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you've learned something, and if you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe.